So hi there. So my name is Vichaj Muttumani. So I am planning to make another video today, and this is to talk about my experience when I moved from India, say, to the US. So I've lived in the US for actually 10 years. I came here in 2008. So this is basically my story of how my life has been ever since I came to the US. And what are some of the difficulties that you will face, like based on the country that you come from. So trust me, this is a beautiful country. It has a lot to offer, but it also depends on which part of the world you come from. So so those are some of the things I would like to talk about. Okay, first, okay, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. So 2008, I came to the US to do my masters, and I went to, like, say, university in the US. So after I finished my masters, I finished my masters in 2011, and after that I started to work. Okay, so then what happened was, you see, when I was in school and in the university, so life was really good. It's a very nice place. People are very inviting. They're kind people. People in the US are mostly kind. The thing is, I lived in Florida. So Florida is one of the red states, and it was one of the states where you had like slavery. So like people there sometimes could be a little bit biased, in the sense like they would say that some they have some kind of a superiority complex. But the thing is, like, luckily I never met that many people. So like every now and then, whenever I used to walk on the road as a student, some of these truckers with their Confederate flags would, like, yell some racial slurs at us. But they are probably mostly drunk, and there are also a couple of guys just having a good time. So it was nothing violent. So life went like that. It was all fun and games. Then what happened was, it is only when I joined my first company, right? The first company I joined was Intel Corporation. It's a hardware design company. It's a semiconductor company, actually. They make the microprocessors. So they make those Intel chips that you find in all your machines. So what happened was, I was working there, and like, life in Intel is hectic and everything was going well. But then what happened was, so first we had a manager, and then our manager was replaced by another guy. This guy was kind of, what can I say? So I don't know, he's mentally off. I don't care about all that stuff. So this guy was kind of like a dictatoress. He used to use fear and intimidation to get people to do work. So, so, so the thing is, this guy used to use different techniques on, like, different people. So that was the time I also came to realize that me, being on H1B, right? What happened is, after I finished school, when I joined Intel, I was on H1B. So I found out that all these managers in the US, that was the first time in my life ever I found out, they blatantly used our H1B situation to blackmail us to work more than other people. Okay, so so how the H1B works is, so when I was working in 2011 and 12 and all that, if you lose your job, so the next day your H1B goes off, right? So it gets terminated. So you lose your status immediately. So then what happens is, if you lose your status, you'll have to leave the US immediately, or you'll never be able to come into the US ever again. Okay, so things were really bad that time. So this guy was blackmailing us and saying, if you don't get this job, if you don't get this done, I will make your lives a living hell. That is what he told me, exactly, on a one-on-one. These are things he could say and get away with it, because me as a person on H1B, so there was no, what to say, legal recourse for me, right? So if I go and tell HR, who's going to believe what I say? So there's no recording, nothing. So that was my first encounter with what happens to me as a H1B in the US. So I was a little bit surprised, but the funny thing was, I was like, I said, I don't give a shit. So that's exactly what I said to him. So the next day, this guy got, pissed off because he couldn't control me. They made a big hullabaloo. He made a case against me, something and all. They do in Intel, right? They'll start to build a case against you. They will do it, and they'll have enough paperwork, and they send me out of the company. That was all well and good. So then that was the time when I really faced the situation that, how my H1B was going to put me at a disadvantage. So I had 1 week to find another job, which I luckily did. Thank God for that. And then I started working again. So I worked in my second company. So I worked for a while, and then I went back to school because I didn't want to be in hardware anymore. So after finishing school, what happened was, I started working again in 2015. But now the same H1B problem was there, right? So now what happened was, when I was working in this company, I had to file for my green card. So this company was very good. They were a small company, but they were very good company. Okay, they really cared for the employees and had a great time with them. And I don't regret a single day of working with these people. I thank them for it from the bottom of my heart. They filed for my green card. When they filed for my green card, now the year is 2000, say 17. So 2011, I first started working. Now it's 2017. Okay, so I spent almost 6 years in the US already. So my green card process starts. But we come from India, right? So for us, the green card at this moment, when I record this video, it's going to take me close to 20 years. Some people say 70 years, but okay, I'm being optimistic. It's going to take me 20 years to take my to get my green card. Okay, so now I'm 30. So if you put 20 years, I'll be 50. And nobody can work in the tech industry for more than, say, 55. They'll definitely fire you because they need young blood who's good. Okay, it's the natural thing that companies do. So as an Indian, what happens is you are at a disadvantage in this, say, immigration system. So it's not anything wrong with the US immigration system. That's what they said. Only 7% per country quota for green cards. Okay, they're doing exactly what they promised. It is we who came here not knowing about it, and now we are going through all this, song and dance. So that's what I wanted to tell you guys. It'll be a very long road if you come from India. And so one more thing I noticed was, if you work in a situation where nothing is certain, it kind of puts a toll on you, right? Like buying a house and everything becomes a problem. Your marriage may get delayed because you don't want to settle down, because you don't want to have, say, like a wife and kid, and in case something happens, you lose your job, then you put more, strain and tension on your wife and kid, because nobody has to live with that. That's what was happening. And also another thing is, if you have a wife and say she's also in tech, so she can't work, she'll come as a H4. So H4 is a dependent visa that comes with H1B. So your wife won't be able to work. Of course, now they have a new rule where if your green card hits a certain point in the process, your wife can work. But so what's happening is, some Americans complain that that will take jobs away from them. So the US has to do what is best for its citizens, right? The thing is, we are still strangers, man. Like, even after spending 10 years here, like, even if after I understood the culture of this place, and even after I made friends, so legally on paper, they still consider me a stranger. I can leave this country even after spending close to 10 years here. Nobody cares, because the law is what is the most important thing. Back in India, we can always think about, like, people to people connection is that. In the US, it's all about paperwork, it's all about being legal, it's all about, say, like, protocol. So even your best friend, if he doesn't agree with you, he'd bring a piece of paper and say, like, this is what is the terms of service and all that stuff, so you'll have to do what I tell you to do. So being formal is a part of this culture, and that's what makes America what it is. No complaints. So I'm just giving a heads up on that too. So apart from that, so this is what is going on, and that got me thinking. Here I am. Okay, so I'm getting paid enough, but not paid as much as I could. And here I am trying to make an existence. Of course, the house and all is fine. But then I thought about my dad. So my dad is so my dad had a very interesting life. He was in India. Of course, they were very poor when they started. But then my dad worked very hard. He did very different, very low level jobs. Okay. Finally, he started his company and he made something big. So I was thinking about that. And you know what I thought? So maybe I need to do something of my own like that and make a difference in my life. Because, see, now I'm 30. At least 30 is an age when you can change and do other things. If you grow older than that, you get, screwed. By the time you hit 50, you'll be too weak and you'll finally die. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. So I found out that, sticking around here in this system, it may work for some, but it won't work for all. So you would be like, there are a lot of Indians I know here who have a lot of great ideas, but they're not able to work on stuff because H1B makes sure you can only work for your employer. You cannot do anything on your own. You can't have your business. You can't do anything. So, like, even if you pay money and are a co-owner of a business, you can't work or actively participate. You can only give capitals. So it's like, please give us your money, but you have nothing else to do if you're on H1B. So these are some of the constraints that I faced, and these are constraints that a lot of people are facing here in the US. And you know what? We can't expect the US immigration to do anything special for us, because come on, man. So why should they care for us? We are strangers. We have nothing to do with them. They will use us because they can use us, use our blood and sweat, and do what is best for their country. We are strangers anyway, and they give us a long, very difficult route to get the green card, to make sure they can get maximum juice out of us and finally throw us out to get the next generation in. So you don't blame them, they're smart. We have to think about what we have to do and what is best for ourselves, right? So So like my advice to people in India is, I hope you see this video and you understand that it's not very easy if you come from India. If you come from a country where less people come, right, then you can live the American dream. It gives you exactly what it promises. Okay, if you work hard, you will get rewarded. But for Indians, you have to work two times as hard. Be scared that you're going to lose your job. Lose. Okay, if I was to lose my job, everything would come to an end, man. I would have to leave this house, pack my bags, sell my car, probably rent the house and go back to India for good. Okay, so it is a period of very a lot of difficulty. Of course, it has comforts and difficulty. Okay, I don't blame the US. It is up to us to decide what we truly want. So people in India, think hard about what you want. If you come to the US, don't blame the US. Okay, they're doing exactly what they promised. So think it through, make a good decision, and then come if you want to. If you don't come, also don't worry, because you can do a lot. India is booming, I guess. But yeah, I know doing things in India is difficult. Okay, the thing is, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. It may be hard. So you have to decide: do you want your freedom or do you want comfort? So you got to decide. Staying in India means it's your land, it's your own soil, so you can have freedom to do whatever you want. Of course, there is corruption, there is a lot of red tape. Okay, I'm not going to even say anything about it. It's a huge problem. But here in the US, you'll get a lot of comfort. But unfortunately, because we are from India, what could have been a pleasant journey where we could have done a lot more with our lives gets a little bit cut off. Okay, so choose between freedom or comfort and do what you gotta do. But for me, one of the coolest things that happened is this. Okay, so what happened was my company was downsizing, so they they decided to let me go. I have, I think, close to a month and so maybe 2 months to find another job. Or here's the cool thing: I get to return to India, man. I leave everything behind. I was just, so I didn't want to say that in the beginning, but this is cool. I leave everything behind right now and I go straight back to India. Okay, and just imagine this. One of the blessings is I'm not married. I don't have kids, so I can start over again. It kind of reminds me of what happened to Steve Jobs. So he started Apple and he did really well. Then he was fired from his own company because he was a dick. So you forget that. So the bottom line is, so I get a chance to reinvent myself again, do something from scratch, start with nothing, and make something of myself. So yeah, so the thing that most Indians fear has happened to me. So so I'll have to see where my life takes me from this point. So don't worry, guys. I'm a living example of what happens. Even after staying for 10 years, I'm going back. So the things, I might go back or I may not, but we'll see what happens. So, but one of the things I realized after that is, so when the situation happened that I lost it all, and I have 60 days to figure out what to do now. One of the cool things is, like, I don't care, man. I don't have fear. I don't have anything. Feels like, our lives, they follow a path. If you always connect the dots, like what Steve Jobs said in that Stanford like commencement, it makes sense. Everything that happened in my life, right? Slowly and surely, when I first came into the US, I loved this country a lot. I really wanted to stay here. But then slowly my experiences over time, both good and that bad, made me realize there's something more to life. There is something more valuable than money, like freedom to be what you can truly be, not to be constrained, and not to have lesser men like that manager from Intel who was trying to blackmail me to work harder by saying that he would make my visa situation very difficult, to have control over me. That's when I realized true freedom is in the mind. It's in the decisions that we make, and it has less to do with what we have, like all this money. you know sure, I have my BMW at this moment, I go to a good gym, but when you look at it, finally, at the end of the day, true happiness comes from being a free man by living free. Okay, and this system, for some strange reason, for Indians and maybe Chinese, I don't know, it has kind of like constrained us. Okay, and so that is what it is, and that's how things are going. So I hope you guys in India got some insight about life, and I hope, please make sure you read more about the say visa rules than what this man is telling you. Go read about it and get informed before you make an important, say, decision to move to the US, taking your family, kids, and everyone, and coming here. Okay, so just think about it and do what you got to do. But looking back at everything, you know what, this is a beautiful country, man. Okay, people are good. The laws may not be in favor of us at this moment, but it's a good country. I'm very grateful to have stayed here. I might stay here if I get a job, or I may return back to India. But I know one thing for sure, man. The important thing is, you know what? So life is an adventure. New experiences always make it richer. If you have a steady life without any ups and downs, it's pointless, right? So I'm sure when I die, I'll be the happiest man, because when I think about all the shit that I did in this life, it would be a kick-ass journey, man. Okay, that's it. It's been a very long video. I just wanted to say everything in my heart. Sorry about that. If you saw this video fully, thank you, dude. Okay, and take care, guys. Bye.